Hi, in this video I continue with another episode of my Blender beginner's guide. I abandoned this for a while, but now I have some free time and want to get back to it. So the last video was about interface basics, and I want to continue and make another part about this because the interface of Blender can be a little bit intimidating. You see how much it is saturated with options and a lot of things are going on, and at first a beginner can be confused on what's going on, and understanding the interface, how to adjust it to your liking, will help you get familiar with the software faster. So in the previous video I mentioned that the interface of Blender is made of different windows that are glued together. Something that you should know is that not all of the windows are displayed by default. Some of them are hidden, and we can add new windows or change what's in a window, or we can remove windows. Now first let's see how to tell where a window starts and where it ends. The easiest way I think is to tell by this triangle here in the corners. You have one located on the top right corner, a triangle made of lines, and another one at the bottom left corner over here. So this all the way to here is one window, and this is the 3D view window. So if you go to the timeline over here, you can see that it starts from over here and it ends over here. So this over here is the timeline, and here this may seem like a one window, but it's actually two. It's one that starts over here and ends here, and one that starts over here and ends at the bottom here. So that's an easy way to tell where a window starts and where it ends. And to change the content of a window, you can just click on the icon here that represents the 3D view and then select something else, for example the text editor, and this window will become now the text editor. Now let's change it back to the 3D view. Let's say we want to add another window. We can do that by clicking over here with the left mouse button and holding it, then dragging, for example, to the left, and this will create a vertical split. So now we have two 3D view windows, but we can change this one to, for example, the text editor, and we have added a brand new window to our interface. If you want to remove it, you need to go ahead and click over here and hold down the mouse button. But before that, I want to show you something else. I'm going to split this one into two by clicking, holding here and dragging down to create a split on the horizontal. So now we have two windows here, and if I try to click here, hold down and mouse over here to try to collapse these to overtake them, it's not going to work because a window in Blender can be only with a square or a rectangular shape. It cannot be with another irregular shape. So in order to remove both of them, I have to start with removing one of these, and I'll click here, hold down the mouse button. Actually this is not going to work. I have to click over here, and then you see this small arrow. I'm going to collapse this, remove it, and we'll see it better now. Click here, drag like this, and you see this arrow that indicates that I'm going to drop this window over here and remove it. I can also collapse it on itself. So right now if I click here, I'll collapse the window on itself and remove it. And now I can overtake this one by clicking here, dragging like this. The arrow will appear, and I will just collapse the other one and remove it. Another example here is with the timeline, which you're not really going to need if you're not making animation, if you're not animating an object, if you don't have any movement, or you're not editing a video, so maybe you're not going to need this. And to remove it, again, we'll need to collapse it on itself. So just click, drag first upwards and then backwards like this. We have the arrow here, release, and we will remove the timeline window. If you want to get it back real quick, just click here, hold, drag, adjust, and select the timeline from here. So that's pretty much how you remove or make more windows. And let's now see some useful keyboard shortcuts. The first one is mouse over here, hold down the control key, click with the left mouse button and hold it, and then drag again, and you'll get this icon, these small squares with arrows, and with this option we can switch around windows. So right now I grab the 3D view window, and if I place it over here and release the mouse, I will switch the places of the 3D view and the timeline. If I want to get it back, again holding down the control key, dragging, dropping here. Another very useful option is holding down the shift key and dragging the same way. Click, drag, and this will pop out this window. The 3D view will pop out in a floating window like this, which can be very useful because you can make it full screen and have a lot of space to work in the 3D view, and when you're done you can just close it and still have the same interface as before. So this is a very useful option. And something else you should know, let's pop it up again by shift key and dragging. Whatever you do here will also be done in the background. So let me just adjust this a little bit so we can see. If I move this over here, click and drag to move the object, you see the same action is happening in the background. So let's close this. Another thing you should know is that sometimes there are hidden parts of a window. For example, in the 3D view here, this plus sign indicates that there are hidden dock, if you want to call it, with options. So if I click it, this will expand, and you see we have a ton of other options here. The way to remove this is we don't have any minus sign, for example, to collapse it. We have to grab it like this and just collapse it. And the plus sign is available again if you want to expand this. Another thing you should know about is that many of the windows contain panels in them, and a panel is indicated by these small dots here, if you can see them. And you see here we have another panel with the edit options, one with the transform options, and we can adjust these by clicking, holding down the mouse key, the left mouse button, and just drag it like this. And for example, if you want your transform options to be at the bottom here, you can just release them here below the history, and you have your transform options at the bottom. You see there are many panels around here too, and a lot of them can be expanded or collapsed or moved around. Something else that you should know is that Blender has some presets, interface presets. So this is the default for that, but over here we have also, for example, a video editing. So if we select that, this will switch around the windows and make Blender with a video editing interface. And here I like to usually select the properties. So instead of you going around and adjusting the windows in this setup, there's a quick way to access them from over here. And if you want to return the default, just click on that. Another important thing that you should know is that Blender does not save automatically or prompt you to save changes to the interface. You have to do this yourself. So for example, if I split this window right now, close Blender, and I'm prompted here because I made a change to the object, not because I made a change to the interface. Just click OK, and let's restart Blender. You see the splitting of the window disappeared. So in order to save this, for example, if you want to remove the timeline and save this interface to work with for the future, go to File, Save Startup File, click, and then you will be prompted this confirmation. If you mouse away without clicking anything, it will disappear, so you have to be careful. Save startup file, then click again, save startup file, and this will save it. So if I restart Blender now, you will see that now the timeline is no longer here. Now if you want to return to the default, again go to File and choose Load Factory Settings. Again you have to confirm. but also make sure that you save that as a startup file again, because if you make changes, go to the default and don't save it as a startup file. The changes will disappear when you restart Blender. So for example, if I want to go back to the default like this, I need to save the startup file, and I didn't do it. Save the startup file, let's restart Blender, and you see that we have the timeline back here. So I think that this is pretty much all the important stuff regarding the interface, and I hope this video was useful. If it was, like it, leave me a comment. If you're new to my channel, visit my channel for a lot more tutorials, and don't forget to subscribe for future videos. Also, if you want to support my channel and what I'm doing, you can donate. A link is in the description. You can visit my second channel for Inkscape tutorial. Link is in the description again. So that's it for this one. Bye for now.